Welcome, everyone. I have 6:01, so we're going to get started. There might be a few stragglers that trickle in, but welcome to the information session, our virtual town hall for the Master of Science in Biomedical Science at AT University, Arizona School of Health Sciences. We're happy to have you join us today. This is a very interactive session, so please feel free to ask questions along the way. We'll start off with some introductions. I am Dr. Michael DePalma. I'm the program director. I'm also a PA. I've been a PA for over 21 years. I was a non-traditional student, so this was actually my third career. I was a microbiologist and I was a Navy corpsman prior to that. So during my time as a PA, most of it was clinical, but I've also spent 6 years in PA education and 4 years as a PA administrator. Along with us, we have Sarah Amini Rod. You might have seen Amini Rod Hall. She recently got married, so you may have seen some correspondence from her. She's the program manager for the Master of Science in Biomedical Science program, so you're welcome to email either one of us. Dr. Brittany Halsey is the program director for the residential PA program at Arizona, and she has graciously joined us today to hopefully answer any questions that you may have about the PA programs. Another name I'm going to just mention to you is Joe Koppelman. He is the enrollment counselor for the online admissions at Arizona School of Health Sciences. So you may see emails and correspondence and touch base with Joe from time to time. And I just wanted to mention his name so it was familiar to you as well. So with that, we'll get started, and we're happy to have you join us today. A little bit about AT-Still University. It's a nationwide, actually, it's a worldwide university. We have campuses in Arizona, Missouri, and California. And as you can see by the titles of a lot of the schools, they mainly are focused on healthcare professions. And that goes to enforcing our mission statement on the next. And the reason why I like to mention this is because this comes back to our program and to what you are hopefully seeking in wanting to become a PA. So AT-Still University is very focused on preparing highly competent professionals, and that's what I take a lot of pride in our program to help prepare you for an education in PA school. With osteopathic heritage, that focuses on that whole person healthcare. And AT-Still University also focuses on underserved populations. So I mentioned this, and I'll come back and visit it later on in the talk, only because you're really in your search for the ideal PA program. You should be interviewing PA programs as well as they're interviewing you to make sure that it's a good fit. Does it fit with your mission? So we'll come back and talk about the mission in a little bit. So what the Master of Science in Biomedical Science program is, it's a very fast-paced program. You complete 9 months of asynchronous online instruction. You'll receive a total of 45 credit hours. So that's a lot of credits in a very short amount of time. It's essentially full-time for all of our blocks. We'll talk about our course calendar coming up, but we operate in 10-week blocks. The whole kind of focus, or why we designed this program, was to really help students to improve their academic performance or prove to PA admissions committees that they're capable of getting into and succeeding in PA school. So not only does it help you get into PA school, but hopefully once you get there, it'll help with your academics in getting through PA school. So a little bit about PA school in general and as a background and why our program is really focused the way it is there are approximately 310 PA programs accredited right now. This number kind of fluctuates almost on a daily basis because there's more programs being added all the time. And as you can see, 353 programs by 2026 is the projection. Why that's important to you as a candidate is because that's a lot of competition for a lot of seats. The applications are continuing to go up. So even though there's more programs and more seats available, there's more competition for those seats. So a lot of programs are really being selective at finding ideal candidates who they know or have good confidence will get through the program. And if you've had some kind of up and down undergraduate, or you've been out of school for a while and you're trying to get back into a new profession, and you just need to demonstrate your academic worth to PA admissions committees, this is kind of the program to do it because of all those competitive applicants. You can see 31,000 applicants in the 22-23 cycle, only 12,000 matriculants. So that's about 40% acceptance rate, which means about 60% do not get in their first time around at least. So this table just kind of demonstrate what I just said about the number of applications continue to go up, and the number of accepted continue to go up as well. But if you actually do the trend of the lines, the number of applications is going up approximately by about 1,000 a year. The number of matriculants is only going up by 750 a year. So even though there's more programs and more slots and more people getting accepted to PA school, the number of applicants, meaning that competition, the one that you're trying to compete with for that seat, is continuing to widen as well. So that's why we kind of developed this program looking for PA school applicants, because if you're applying to PA school, on average, students applied for little over 2 years before they actually got accepted. So number one, what are you going to do in that 2-year time frame? Improve yourself. How are you going to prove yourself? Healthcare experience, academics, mission-oriented activities, things like that. So this is a program that can really help with the academic arm of that. On average, students had applied to multiple schools over and over again. So, that costs money as well. So we want you to have confidence that you're going to get into a program. On the other side of that, from the PA program side, our program, helps to give PA schools confidence that you're going to get into PA school. So graduation rate is 94% from PA schools across the board. This is from the Physician Assistant Education Association. So that means, 5.8% aren't graduating. Now, it's not all due to academic reasons, but we can speculate that a large portion of it is due to academics. And how can we improve that for schools? And that's to better prepare the students going into it. So academic dismissals was around 3.8%. And there's another concept with PA education that I like to kind of introduce if you haven't heard this before. It's called deceleration. Why that's important is deceleration means sometimes you have to repeat a course or a module for academic reasons. That's short term. Long term means you actually have to come back and repeat the whole first year of didactic education. That's a lot of money out of your pocket. That's an extra year before you can actually get out and practice. And yes, that can help prepare you, but a program like ours can help to really reduce that long-term deceleration, both from the PA program standpoint, but also from the student standpoint. So think about it in those terms. So, a little more about your application. How can I be a more competitive applicant? Those first couple bullets at the top are areas where our program can help. Areas of weakness, whether it be GPA. We like to say if your GPA needs a little bit of rehab, this is a program that can help do that for you. Science coursework. We have a lot of credits in advanced sciences. And our coursework was designed with PA school curriculum in mind. As a PA educator, we put together this program to really help where students have demonstrated weakness. Courses such as medical physiology, microbiology, pharmacology, those are all courses that we include in our program that can really help to improve some areas of weakness or just strengthen if it's been a while since you've had them. Another thing that our program does is demonstrates that record of academic success. So if you've been trying to get into PA school and you've gone and taken a class over the summer, taken a one course anatomy at a community college, that's great because you're trying to improve yourself, but that doesn't demonstrate that you're able to handle that heavy load of credits in a sustained manner. So over this 9 months with 45 credits, you'll be able to demonstrate that record of academic success that PA admissions committees are looking for. The personal statement, we have a medical writing course. It's 10 weeks long and it's dedicated to making you a better writer. Now, it doesn't mean we're going to make everybody a publishable writer. That's not our goal, but our goal is when you get to PA school, you're going to have to complete either a thesis, an evidence-based medicine project, which is going to be research and writing, or a capstone, which is going to be a lot of writing. And in whichever course you end up or whatever program you go into, you're going to have this amount of writing. So our medical writing course really helps to refine your writing skills. And we also have a lot that we really help to refine and work on your personal statement. In our capstone course, we also do a mock interview for students to help prepare you for the interview that you would get in PA school. The few bullets at the bottom, I want this to be a comprehensive talk for everybody. These are areas that our program does not help, but these are things that when I sat on an admissions committee that we certainly looked for, and a lot of committees do look for. What's your healthcare experience? Is it volunteer? Is it paid? Is it direct patient contact? Meaning, you do get some credit from a lot of schools for being a scribe, but it's not a direct you're not directly interacting with the patient as a scribe. So is it something like an EMT or a nursing assistant where you get a lot more direct one-on-one care? Mission-oriented activities. Have you been on any mission trips? Have you done any volunteer work with underserved populations? Those are things that look great on applications. And if you've done any research, a lot of programs that do evidence-based medicine projects look to see if you've done research, teaching, anything like that. Most importantly, ask if you've interviewed with a PA program and you've been rejected, and it happens. Remember, 2.2, at least 2.2 years, people have been trying. So over 2 years, people have been trying to get into PA school and have not been successful. So if you've tried and haven't gotten in, ask the admissions, who interviewed you or the program, ask what you can do better to improve your application. In many cases, it's going to be that they want to make sure that you can get through a rigorous program. So they want to see evidence of completion of coursework. But it might be a balance of healthcare experience and coursework, things like that. So the best thing you can do is ask. That'll help your pursuit. So now the focus switches to our program, and what our program does. As I mentioned, this is strictly for students looking to get into PA school. Our curriculum was built around PA education, so we do not know what the curriculum of other healthcare disciplines would be. So, and it's up to the applicants to learn and realize whether these courses would qualify them for that or not. This is really a program to help with that undergraduate science coursework. The pace of our program, it's front loaded, so we take a lot of credits in the early part of it, so you can really demonstrate to PA programs that you can handle that heavy course load early in the program. And I think the big benefit to this is it's online and it's asynchronous. We do have a lot of interaction with our instructors through Zoom. You can meet one-on-one, they can do small group activities, things like that. However, this is really, you have deadlines to meet. Some of the keys that you really want to work on are time management skills, because that's very important when you get to PA school, and having this type of program can really help you do that. So our curriculum, as I mentioned, on the left side, upper level science courses in anatomy. Now you have to have anatomy to get into our program, because we can't teach the anatomy to the level that you'll need it in 10 weeks. So that our anatomy is really to kind of refine, refresh, and hone in on what you'll need for PA school. So you need to have a good anatomy background coming into the program. Physiology, we've broken that up into 3 courses. We really break this down into a system-based physiology, so we can delve into this and start to learn about the pathophysiology, meaning why is the physiology important from a human perspective and a human body perspective in disease. So when you get to PA school, that'll really help. Biochemistry is a big one. Students struggle with biochemistry because not a lot of students have had biochem in their undergraduate. So if you've had it, it's a nice advantage. If you haven't, it'll be good, because a lot of programs, this tends to fall like on the number 4 or 5 on the top required courses that a lot of PA schools are looking for. Micro and infectious diseases, I'm a little biased with this one because I teach this as a microbiologist, but I like to really gear this course and take what you've learned in undergraduate microbiology and really focus on human infection and how disease affects humans, and how that pertains certainly when you get to PA school. Pharmacology, as I mentioned, 2 courses in pharmacology. Immunology, genetics kind of rounds out our science courses, and then our social science courses with medical writing. We have a course in medical ethics, social behavioral determinants of health. Those are very important concepts because you'll learn them in PA school, but you don't have time to really understand them or appreciate them because you're learning medicine when you're in PA school. So I think having that basic understanding before you get there will help you to appreciate those topics a little better. And then, of course, we have our 3 capstone series. Our program calendars kind of looks a little bit like this. Our next program is going to start July of 2025. The application window is already open. It opened on November 1st, and it'll be opened up until June 15th. We'll accept applications. As I mentioned with our calendar, we do 10-week blocks. We do 2 10-week blocks in the fall semester and one 10-week block in the spring semester, and then a 6-week block for your final capstone. Graduation would be in June of 2026 in Mesa, Arizona at our Arizona campus. And we certainly encourage all of our students to come and walk in graduation. It's a big accomplishment to get there. This is a calendar that's also on our website, so I encourage you to kind of look at this and get a good understanding. As I mentioned, that fall semester, spring block or fall block 1, fall block 2, there's 15 credits in each of those. So you're basically completing 30 credits of coursework in the first 20 weeks of the program. That's a lot of credits. That's very heavy, but that's what PA programs will want to see. And if you can get through this successfully, you can demonstrate that you're capable of doing so. Our spring semester, 11 credits in that spring block 1, which starts in January. And then spring block 2 starts in March after spring break. And that is only a 6-week, but that's the final. It's a 4-credit course, but that's to finish up the final touches on your capstone. And then the program ends sometime in May. So the 30 credits in fall block 1 and 2 really help demonstrate that sustained academic ability. And kind of mimics what you can expect in PA school. You're going to have a number of different courses going on at the same time in PA school, and you really need to learn time management and how you can juggle them. And that's what a program like this can help you to develop those early, rather than waiting until you get to PA school, struggle through the first semester, and then learn the time management skills. You'll already have a leg up on that. Our faculty, I'm pretty proud of our faculty because we're not all PAs. We have a nice mix of PAs who are both teaching in academia, but also in clinical practice. So you get to learn from both types of PAs. Our non-PAs or subject matter experts are physiologists, teaches physiology in another university. Our biochemist is a biochemist. So you're learning from the experts. Our pharmacologist is a pharmacist who teaches in pharmacy in medical school. So you're learning from the experts in the field. So who should apply to our program? Well, we've talked about whether you need an overhaul of your undergraduate GPA, of your post-baccalaureate GPA if you've taken any coursework. So overall GPA, science GPA, if you just need a deeper understanding. As I mentioned, as a non-traditional student, it was 10 years from the time I graduated to the time I went to PA school. And a program like this would have really benefited me to kind of improve my appreciation and get back into the swing of going to school and learning at this higher level. We use the term gap year a lot, but it's really a bridge. Gap year typically talks about a year off. So if you're looking at trying to figure out when you can get into PA school rather than waiting a year, this is a program that can kind of fill that year for you, keep you academically challenged, keep your mind moving in the right direction, and really help to prepare you. As I mentioned, our prerequisites are few. Anatomy is only 3 credits, 1 course. If you've taken A and P, you need to have both Anatomy and Physiology 1 and Anatomy and Physiology 2. English composition, very important because we do have a lot of writing in our program to really help prepare you. A GPA, overall and science GPAs have to be at least 2.5. We did initially in our first cohort have this at 2.75, but our students we accepted, granted a number of waivers, and those students did very well to demonstrate they're capable of doing it. So we lowered it to 2.5. So we really want to make this and provide an opportunity to students to demonstrate that they're capable of doing this. And I think removing all the barriers that we can, such as a GPA, can really help. There's a lot of PA programs out there that don't have GPA minimums or have lower GPA minimums. A lot of them do have 3.0 or higher. But I think demonstrating that you're capable of doing this is what some of those other programs want to see. So you don't have to meet those minimums with every program that's out there. The other prerequisites that we have that aren't on here, but a letter of recommendation and your personal statement. those are two that if you've applied to PA school, you're welcome to just upload what you've used in your CASPA application. You don't have to go out and get another letter of recommendation, but we do require one. I mentioned mission at the very beginning of the talk. So, when you're looking at PA school, you should be asking yourself, what's your mission? When you're looking to apply to PA school, what's their mission? And do those missions align? I want you to do the same thing with our program. Does our program mission align with what your goals are? We're certainly happy to have all the students that want to come into our program, but we want it to be a right fit for you. If it's not academically right, you're not going to succeed. If it's not a great fit for you, you're not going to, you may succeed, but you're going to struggle a lot more than if you have a program that's aligns with your mission. If you've looked at our website or on any of the emails that have been sent out, and you notice this automatic interview, it is only for the ASHS PA program, but you must have a minimum of a 3.5 GPA in the master's program. That means you must graduate and complete the program with a 3.5, and you must also have a minimum prerequisite or meet the minimum prerequisites of the ASHS PA program. So, it's up to each applicant to know what the prerequisites are for the programs that they're applying to, as well as do they meet it. And an example of that would be if you have a 2.6 GPA overall, you complete our program with a 3.5, but it only elevates your GPA to a 2.99. And the ASHS PA program requires a 3.0. Then you would not meet their prerequisite requirements. So I just want to, in full disclosure, want everybody to understand what the guaranteed interview means. And that's for all the programs that have minimum GPA. Some of them are very stringent. Some of them will look at more recent coursework, and that's really should be part of your exploration of PA programs and how you determine which one's suitable for you. Financial aid. The only thing we like to talk about financial aid is it's available, and the experts are in the financial aid office at enrollment services. It's very individualized per student, and there is not a general statement we can make about financial aid other than it's available. So what we really encourage you to do is to reach out to one of the counselors and have a one-on-one meeting to determine what the best course of action for financial aid is. Everything costs money these days and nothing's getting cheaper. So we really don't want this to be, a huge financial burden, particularly if you plan on working during the program. You want to be able to realize what your expectations are financially for this program, as well as when you move forward into PA school. So there's contact information that's also on our website. Quick disclaimers, can't really get away without having some type of disclaimer in the program, but as I mentioned, the ASHS-MSBSM program is customized for prospective PA students. We're taught by PAs. The education, although it's general sciences, is still focused towards PA education, which means I don't know, and the faculty in the program don't know if these courses would meet any prerequisite requirements for any other healthcare disciplines. That's up to the applicant to understand and know that. And the ASHS interview or the guaranteed interview is only with the ASHS Arizona PA program at this time, and does not extend to any other schools that are offered at ATSU. Our first cohort graduated in June of 2024 of this year. And we're very happy to kind of share some of our preliminary data with you. And that our overall GPA, entry GPA was 2.99, science GPA was 2.84. Now those were the means, and if you look at the min and the max, and I really like to put the emphasis on the minimum, 2.14 and 2.21, I mentioned we granted some waivers of students. So those GPAs are well below the 3.0. The final cumulative and final science GPAs, 3.67, 3.63, demonstrate that it's obtainable to get to where you need to be. Now, depending on how many credits that you had in undergraduate and overall, if you have roughly a 2.75 and you get a 3.6 in the MSBSM program, again, this is a very rough, you have to do your own calculations, but that would elevate your GPA to about a 3.0, which would be the minimum for a lot of programs. So if you're in that 2.75 range, a 3.6, this shows it's attainable. would definitely would hopefully get you to that 3.0, depending on how many credits you had and how many science credits you had. So that first cohort graduated in June. How did they make out? Because this is what everybody that's attending always wants to know. There were 35 graduates in that first cohort. Of those graduates, 28 of them had a GPA of 3.5 or higher. And of those 28, 27 of them met the requirements for the ASHS PA program, meaning they had the 3.5 and they met all the minimum prerequisite requirements. Of those 27, 15 applied to the ASHS PA program. So successfully completed the applications. And of those 15, to date, 11 of them have been accepted. Okay, I think that's an outstanding number of acceptance so far. 2 of them were actually accepted to the class of 2026, which is the current class that's going on, that was just started in May or July, sorry. One of them matriculated, one got accepted to another program, but still, 2 had gotten in because they met the prerequisites prior to graduation. So far, out of the rest of this cohort, 9 have been accepted, and there's still 2 more to be interviewed to date. So our acceptance of those 15 that applied, 11 out of 15 is 73%. And our overall acceptance rate of 11 out of 35 students in the first cohort is 31%. So almost a third of the class, which I think is a great number. Now, of all those students that applied, 15 applied to the ASHS program. That means hopefully the rest of them applied to other programs, and we're waiting to hear with some surveys if they've been accepted as well. Okay, so as we start to wrap things up, ultimately our goal in the MSBSM program is to help you reach your goal. Basically, we want to get you in that white coat. We want to get you into a PA program, and we want to remove the barriers and do what we can to help you succeed in PA school. We have time for some questions, and if you have questions, you're certainly welcome to unmute and ask them, or if you want to put them in the chat, Sarah is happy to be a moderator and answer for you. And I'm going to move on to the last slide, which is our contact information. My email, Sarah's email, we have a program email address, and then Joe is the enrollment counselor, as I mentioned, but you are welcome to email any of us with any questions from the talk. So, and with that, any questions?
There are none so far in the chat, but if you want me to ask them, I'm more than happy to.
I either put you to sleep or I overwhelmed you.
I have a question.
Yes, please.
Thank you so much for the wonderful presentation. I noticed that for the requirements, in order to be accepted or to be invited for an interview, you had to meet the prerequisites. But my question is, I noticed that there was a couple of classes that have like a time or like expiration time on some of the courses. So let's say like I know for one of my Gen Chem classes, like I'm gonna hit almost the 7-year mark. So I'm just saying, like, theoretically speaking, like if I apply like from 2 years from now to the program, would that still meet the minimum requirement even though it's outside of the timeline or the expiration, if that makes sense?
It does, and I'm going to defer to Brittany, if Dr. Halsey, if she doesn't mind, to answer that one and how they would view that.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So the preference is within the last 5 years. However, it's not a concrete. We look at everything holistically. So, if let's say you took a course and it would be over 2 years ago, but you recently just did the MSBMS, you did really, really well. We're going to look at all of that, and that's going to be more pertinent to us than, a Gen Chem class you took over, 5, 6 years ago. So It is preferred, but it is not something that is going to make or break you being considered for an interview.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That breaks out a lot of things.
Great question. And I think from being on prior admissions committees too, I would say it really would depend too on how far back that we're looking. If it's within a year or two, I would think it's okay to, you know, that they're made, if you've completed the program. If you've taken something 20 years ago, then, you know, science has changed a little bit in the last 20 years. So it may need that some of those courses would need to be updated. So.
Thank you.
Dr. DePalma, we have a question in the chat.
Sure.
Would you say most students are able to work full-time while doing the MSBMS program, or is it not possible given the heavy course load?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I'm going to put it back and say that depends on the type of student that you are. It's hard to say that most students, I think a lot of our students are working, and some are very taxed by that. Some are finding the way to balance that, which I don't want to discourage people from working. I understand that you need to work, that you need to pay for this, and you need to kind of do what you need to do to get through the program. However, you're should always step back and look at what your end goal is. And if your desire is to get into PA school, then you want to make sure that you're giving it your maximum effort. And if you're going to struggle academically, if that's the type of student that you need to put all of your effort into school, then I would encourage you to kind of really weigh that option, particularly in the first fall semester where you have those 30 credits. Our students that are in our current class now, the first block was kind of 15 credits, 5 courses, was a little eye opener. They now have 6 classes with 15 credits, and they're struggling. And I think it's a struggle academically to balance time and life. And if you throw work on top of that, it adds a lot more stress. So, I don't want to discourage anybody from doing that, but it really depends on how your time management skills are, how you're able to balance and juggle and meet the demands of the program and get through that. And students have done it successfully. So I know I tap dance around that answer because I get that question a lot, but there is not an easy answer to that. It really is very individual.
Okay, we have another question.
Okay.
Of the 40,
just before you
Yeah.
get to that, if that didn't answer your question, you're welcome to put something else in the chat. And but thank you. Go ahead.
Of the 45 total credits, do all go towards my science GPA, or would only the upper level science courses?
Yeah, another good question. Just those science courses that were on the left hand side of that one slide that I had up. So it actually turns out that 28 credits are science of the 45. Trying to get there. There. So 28 go towards science, and the rest, the medical writing, ethics, social behavioral determinants, are all 3 credit classes. Capstone starts off with a 2 credit. Capstone 2 is 2 credits, and Capstone 3 is 4 credits. So. Any other questions?
I have another question.
Yeah, please.
If completing, or because the program is almost for a year, do you recommend completing, like, for example, accumulate volunteer hours and patient care hours beforehand starting the program? Because I know it's
it
like,
depends. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, considering like it's almost a full-time, well, you're a full-time student,
Right.
just trying to figure out like the balance between time.
It depends on the program that you're applying to and what their requirements are. So I would really encourage you to research that from all of the programs to see if they view volunteer hours the same as they do paid. If they view, like I said, scribe. A lot of those types of healthcare experiences get weighted on a lot of applications. shadowing hours, things like that. So, in our capstone, we really, capstone 1, we try and teach team-based care. So you get to research all the elements of the healthcare team and how we interact and work together. Capstone 2 really focuses on the PA profession, and you interview a PA, but that's probably not enough, and it's not going to give you the shadowing. It definitely helps, and I like to say, use things like that on your application to say, I really know what a PA does because we researched it, and this is why I really want to become a PA, because things like that in your personal statement really come out and jump off the page that you know what you're talking about, and this is what you want to do. That's what admissions committees look for. So it kind of deviated from the question, but I think it really depends on the program that you're applying for and the type of healthcare requirements that they have on their application. If you can get some of that accomplished prior to getting into the program, then that would add to your hours. If you're a full-time student, I don't think anybody's going to take away from or expect you to do volunteering healthcare hours the same time you're a full-time employee, particularly if you've had all that prior to.
Thank you.
Hi, I had a question. First of all, thank you for the valuable information. I'm excited to be able to apply and hopefully be accepted into the program. But in regards to exams, are they structured pass-fail, or is there a minimum percentage required to passing? And then kind of piggybacking off of that, are there any remediations that are offered if a student happens to not pass an exam?
Yeah, great question. So let's talk about quizzes first, because some courses have quizzes. Being an asynchronous program, we do a lot of writing and a lot of discussion based. So there's a lot of peer-to-peer correspondence with discussions. In micro, I like to do case studies. I think they're really helpful. We do some videos that help students. Some of the activities that students do are record their own videos and then have peer-to-peer. So we try and do more than just beyond the standard sit down and take a multiple choice quiz. Having said that, there are some classes that unfortunately do have to do that just so we can help you understand where your weaknesses are. We don't necessarily have a minimum per quiz saying that you have to pass the quiz, but you do have to maintain a C in each class to move on to the next semester. So if you completely bomb the first quiz, you'll still have time to make up on that. If you're struggling or have below that C, depending on when it is, and depending on which course it is, we can certainly offer some remediation. Usually at the end of the course, if it's all of the quizzes, it's hard to remediate an entire course between semesters because we really only have 1 week in between fall block 1 and fall block 2. So there's not much time there. A little more time between fall block 2 and spring block 1. There's a couple weeks there. So, we try and give you ongoing feedback as it's going so you learn and progress. And we don't want it to be a struggle. If you're struggling in a 10-week course, you really need to be proactive at reaching out to get some one-on-one with your instructor, because we are more than happy to meet one-on-one with everybody to either talk through things, figure out what's working for you, what's not working for you, and kind of help you from there. So our quizzes are kind of a mix too. Some are short answer, some are matching, anatomy. You kind of have to click on the letter that corresponds to the picture kind of thing. So we do a lot of mixes, and some classes have weekly quizzes. Some classes have quizzes every 3 or 4 weeks. So there's a lot of time to get caught up if you don't do well on one quiz. That answer your question?
Perfect. Yes, it did. Thank you.
Good. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we really designed this program to help students succeed, to learn and succeed. We don't want to fail anybody. Your question about pass fail. We do have grades for everything, only because we need to figure out what your GPA is. And so there isn't a minimum pass fail per quiz, but there is on the whole course. So, we want to really help students to learn, succeed, and develop those really good study skills that are going to help you in PA school.
Okay, we have another question in the chat. Would you recommend applying to PA programs before or after I finish the MSBMS program?
Yeah, that's a great question. And again, it's up to what I would encourage you to do is see if you meet those prerequisite requirements now. So again, I'm going to pick on Dr. Halsey's program and say if you have a 2.7 right now, you won't meet the prerequisites and your application will not be moved forward for review because you don't meet the prerequisite. And because of that, it doesn't mean that you wouldn't in the future. It just means that right now, don't waste the money. You know, make sure that you meet the prerequisites. If you meet them, and I'm going to go back to the slide here where the two students have gotten in, the reason why they got in prior to graduation, they got accepted prior to their graduation, was because they met the prerequisite requirements as they were in the program. I think the program kind of helped to prove that they were capable of getting into the program. So they were accepted later in the class. I think they ended up on wait lists and then eventually moved up on the wait list and got accepted. So it is possible to get in a year sooner if you meet the prerequisite requirements. But if you're applying to other programs and you meet their requirements, I would certainly emphasize that you're in this program. And then depending on when that matriculates, our program finishes in May. The slide that I had up towards the top that talks about the PA programs. Did I miss it? Oh, so 163 PA programs matriculate in May to August, and 76 programs matriculate in January. So if you align when your program, kind of when we would finish to when you would want to start PA school, and some of the programs would align like that and you meet their requirements, it's possible you could finish our program in May and start a PA program that matriculates in May a week later, but still come to graduation if you can.
Okay, another question in the chat. Is there a preference from who the letter of recommendation comes from?
If you're just finishing up your undergraduate, I think an instructor is fine, somebody that could speak to your academic ability. If you've been out of school for a little while, somebody in the professional phase that's known you for a little bit of time. I think that's a general good rule of thumb, even for your CASPA applications, it's fine if you shadowed a PA for a couple of weeks, and if they write your letter, it's not going to be weighed as heavily as somebody that's known you for several years and can speak to your character. But again, only requiring one, it's just somebody that's can speak to your character as a student or as a professional if you've been out of school for a while. Some good questions. Any other questions?
So far, that's all in the chat.
Okay. Well, I'd like to thank everyone for spending their Thursday evening. I don't even know what day it is. Thursday evening with us. Thursday on the East Coast. I don't know if you're dialing in from anywhere else, but we appreciate you spending some time with us. Please feel free to reach out if you have any questions. We look forward to seeing your applications. And if you have any questions about if you qualify, the program, anything, please let us know. We'd be happy to get back to you. No finals. Okay.
Nope.
With that, thanks everyone. Have a good rest of your evening.